back to another Nature's Always Right video. I'm super excited about this one today because it's all about soldier flies. Soldier flies are something that I've been trying to get to work on this property for a long time, the last couple years, but I haven't been able to get it to work naturally. I was trying to have the flies come in and lay the eggs and make the whole process happen, but I've been unable to do it. So I ended up just buying some baby larvae from a place in Austin, Texas. I'm gonna put a link down in the description. It's 30 bucks and they ship a container like this with, looks like, 1,000 or so, and that's gonna be enough to get the box started. So what are soldier flies? Soldier flies are a fly that exists in the tropics and in hotter environments, and they're usually only around during the hot part of the season. You probably haven't ever seen a soldier fly unless you were looking for it. But these are flies that never bother us. They don't come around our food when we're eating. They don't fly all over poop. They're not like a house fly. They're much cooler and much nicer. They don't sting. There's nothing weird about them. They're just, they just lay the best larvae ever. So it's really neat because there's not too many negatives about doing this at all, I found. So what these flies do is they lay larvae that are extremely efficient at conversion of your waste to protein and fat. So it's a great way to get rid of some of your excess food, manure. They can eat meat, dairy. They are an extremely interesting insect. I've even seen online some farms are using them to process their pig waste, which is pretty cool. So this is going to be chicken food. Maybe someday if I ever raise fish food. You can feed it to reptiles, you can feed it to pigs. There's multiple types of animals you can feed this to, so it's a very interesting thing. Obviously I've got lots of extra waste from the farm, or there's other waste streams like restaurants or places where I could get more if I need more. Basically what's going to happen is these larvae are going to eat. They're going to get to about the size of maybe a 1/2 to 3/4 inch. Then what they do is they want to pupate, which means turn into the fly. So what they do is they actually will self-harvest themselves, and they'll crawl up a little ramp and fall down into a hole. Part of the problem with me not being able to do this successfully is because there's not a lot of good information about soldier fly online. There's lots of good information about the flies, what they are, how they work, but no one is showing how to set this up from beginning to end with any sort of troubleshooting. So I'm really hoping to, over the next year, provide a couple of guides to this so that we all can figure out how to do this to get better at this, because to me it seems like a really important system that we can integrate into our farms as a feed supplement. And as we know, chicken's favorite food are bugs and grubs, and we know that it's going to add in a ton of nutrients because we see their yolk change from yellow to orange to almost like a red color if they're eating a diet like that. To set this thing up is soak some grain. They like to eat wet grain, I read, and it needs to be wet because they need to get moisture from somewhere. They don't drink moisture, they get the moisture from their food sources. So this is just some real cheap rolled oats from the feed store. You can get stuff like this at any feed store. 10 to 20 bucks for a 50-pound bag, somewhere in there. We're gonna soak the oatmeal. Okay, it's probably more than enough. So we're gonna let that soak. So we'll be feeding them a little bit of oats. We've got some leftover chard, a couple carrots and a cucumber. You don't wanna overfeed them in the beginning, I read. And this stuff, I'm just gonna tear it up. Okay, and then we can get the soldier fly ready. Okay, this is really nice and wet and juicy. Soaked up all that water. So that's ready. So now, where are these worms going to be held? So I've got 2 bins set up here. This is my soldier fly bin that I designed. I have a video on how to create it, so be sure to check that out if you wanted to build your own. It's kind of a prototype, but basically the way that it works, in the bottom of this, you can actually see a little bit of it. It has some weed mat. Underneath the weed mat is 1/4 inch hardware cloth, and that's to support the weed mat so it doesn't tear. I have the weed mat in there so that water can drain through and out, because it's really important to water down your soldier fly and drain them out, because like excess stuff can build up in there. If you ever need to cool them down when it's really hot, that's what you got to do. So it has to be drainable. And I talk a lot more about my strategies and reasons why I built it like this in my video, so go ahead and check out how I built this. This is where the soldier fly are going to eat, get bigger as larvae. Then what they're going to do, I still need to put the holes in this and ramps, but they're going to crawl up ramps and crawl out straight into the chicken coop, and they're going to feed themselves to the chickens. So that's that process. But you might have thought, oh hey, if they're all getting fed to the chickens, how are more being able to lay eggs? Well, so hopefully what happens is when you get a population going, there's a very mild smell, not something that humans are going to notice, but it's something that the flies will notice, and that will attract them to lay more eggs inside of here. Also, all the fresh vegetation attracts them. They want to feed on fresh vegetation, not rotting stuff. Although once they have a population established, they can feed on rotted or gross meat or fish, or, anything. But what I've read is you want to get a population established first before you start putting in the more hardcore stuff. This bin is going to be strictly for allowing the pupae to turn into the flies so that they can grow up and then hopefully re-inoculate this box with more eggs. So what this is going to do is help increase the native population of the soldier fly. If you've ever made a compost pile, actually this is where you have probably seen a soldier fly larva. So basically it's just compost, that's where they'll lay the eggs and that's where the flies will hatch. I'm going to keep the soil slightly moist, and then I might even put a little bit of vegetation in there. I'll just put a little bit in there so they have something to help them develop and then change into the full pupa. And I'm just going to keep an eye on all of this. So I'm just going to get this a little wet. Not much. And actually, it's so tight under there, I actually don't think I need a lid. There, so like this, there's no way an animal can get under there. Maybe a smart raccoon could pull this, but I'm not really getting any raccoons, so this should be perfect actually. And then there's a nice entrance there. Then any water I put in here will drain out into here. That juice smell will also attract the flies. So first, I'm just gonna add some of them in here. Yeah, this company that I bought from, really happy with what they gave me. So many. So that's gonna be perfect to get this little box started, so I can keep the fly population going. So I got this yesterday. I had to do a market, so I didn't have time to set this up. And they lasted, 24 hours just in this after delivery. So great job, guys, on packing this well, and you guys know what you're doing. I'm just gonna add a couple pieces of cardboard in here, just because it'll help cover up the flies a little bit. And the soldier flies like to lay eggs in small little crevices, so it may give them another little spot for them to do that. So at the bottom here, you're just seeing a leftover worm castings from worms I used to have in here. I cleared all the worms out. Okay, so this is gonna be like their bedding basically, but it's all edible. Just gonna throw some of this on top. And until I'm used to how much these guys feed, I'm just gonna start with a little bit. And that's what you should do for all insect systems. Don't wanna overfeed. Also, putting too much food, if it starts rotting, then it attracts house flies, which I'm not really trying to get in here. Okay, so that'll be a good start for them. And I'm just gonna sprinkle them out. Oh my goodness. So now up here on the top of my box here, I have some cardboard, and that is where the soldier fly will lay eggs. Then the larvae come out, and then they drop down to the pile of food. Then they'll crawl out. These are some incredible insects. Immediately, they are devouring this stuff. I can almost hear them crunching the chard in here. This is within 2 minutes of dropping them in. They are just going to town. And this is day 2 with the soldier fly larvae. There they are feeding. They're already getting bigger, I can tell. And I added in this piece of cardboard just to make it easier for the flies to lay their eggs if they need to inside there. And they also have these up top that they could lay in as well. Maybe they can even lay the eggs directly onto the food itself. But I heard that they'll actually lay the eggs on the cardboard and they'll fall out onto the matter. So we'll see what works. It's kind of interesting because I spread them out everywhere, but it looks like they all kind of congealed in the center. Okay, we're on day 3, I think, out here. The larvae are definitely getting bigger. They're spreading out more, doing more stuff. And I read online, you've got about 2 weeks from larva stage to when they start wanting to pupate. So I just got to get these ramps done in the next week here. This is day 4 of the soldier fly, getting much bigger. Grow really fast. Way too much oatmeal in here, it's starting to mold and stuff, but I think that's okay. They can just eat right through that. But I know for next time. They are really working through all that oatmeal. They already got it all. And the rest are just working through all that material. They're all the way through the oatmeal basically. So I'm gonna give them some more oatmeal, and then I'm gonna give them some chicken. There's bones and some meat on there. Just all kitchen scraps. Some coffee, eggshell, passion fruit, grapefruit. So check it out. A majority are hiding underneath this cardboard. It's an interesting thing. So they like to be protected from light, obviously. Okay, so the way that the soldier fly work is that once they've eaten enough, they're gonna wanna pupate and turn into the soldier fly. And when that happens, they're gonna wanna try to escape this box to go into some soil. Well, we will give them a way out, and it's gonna be a ramp. So I'm gonna use this piece of siding or whatever this is that my landlord had left over. They'll crawl up this ramp. For now, they're gonna drop into a 3/4 inch PVC fitting, and I wanna get a funnel to put into this so that it'll be able to catch them easily. I'm gonna be using a 90 and a 45-degree fitting to get the right angle so that they'll fall into this, swoop down. Got this old piece of 3/4 inch PVC, then they'll just go down the pipe and into a bucket inside of the chicken coop, and I need to figure out how that whole system's gonna work. Guys, I just came to check on the box to see what's going on, and look, we got our first soldier flies about to crawl into the hole, and oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Come on, a little further. Woohoo! There it goes. There it goes. Boom, just fell. Had to shake the pipe a little, but there it goes. And anyways, you can kind of see them. They've been crawling around the box. I opened it, so now they're kind of hiding from the sun, but they are starting to crawl around. And when they turn a dark brown or gray color, that's when they have eaten enough to start to pupate. So now they're looking around the box to find an exit to get out of here. So hopefully a lot more will figure that out. We've seen a few soldier fly crawl up and down in there, but I actually just took a bunch from the that were stirring around the ground. I threw a ton onto the ramp in hopes that they leave some sort of pheromone trail or something to tell each other to go up this ramp. And I threw a bunch on. They were really confused for a while, and now that one of them started marching up, now a bunch of them are starting to march up. So very interesting. But I definitely need some more ramps, I think. A few more ramps. Maybe another one of these cups would be really good. Oh, there it goes. There you go. Oh yeah, she's got him. Yummy. So there's an actual soldier fly in the bin crawling around, and they're gonna hopefully lay eggs in here and keep this population going and going. Looks like another soldier fly laid eggs. These look like the larvae of the soldier fly because they're inching around like forward. Fly maggots will just kind of writhe and wiggle around.